All right, let's get into it. It's time. So sophomore year, go ahead, Jimmy.
No, go ahead.
Sophomore year, you guys are sophomores at Central, kind of forming what's going to be, really two very good teams the next couple of years, 85 and 86. How did that sophomore year go?
Well, I had a different experience than Tim.
Because Tim was moved up, and John Horner was moved up,
Right,
and you were on the JV or B squad, or?
Yep.
Correct.
So it was, and even as a sophomore, I didn't play a whole lot. So we, like you were saying earlier, the grades kind of stuck together. So our B squad was the best of the juniors that weren't on the varsity team, which most of them were on the B squad.
Correct.
We had a lot of seniors. Every year there always seemed like a lot of seniors, not just 3 seniors and then 11 juniors, and
Right.
it's very often 5, 6, 7, 8 in every class.
Right.
So I continued to play. I didn't play a lot of B squad as a sophomore because those juniors that were on the 85 team were ahead of me, but Tim and John were on the varsity. So we got to play a little bit. Tom played quite a bit as our point guard, and Ron was nice and tall, so he got to play because we were not blessed with great height.
Right. Yeah.
Even though the sheet might have said we had guys that were 6'4", 6'5". I don't think
That was generous.
I was 5'11",
Yeah.
and I was listed at 6'1", so
That's right.
I don't know how that worked.
Yeah.
You had the big 80s hair, right?
Hastings liked
that's
to inflate the heights a little bit,
Just a
maybe
little
to
bit.
intimidate
Just a
people,
little
where
bit,
I think
yes.
Jack used to.
He used to go the opposite way.
Down the other way. Little mystery.
Yeah, you used to underestimate heights. You'd say, Steve or Tim Lynch is 6'3", but he was actually 6'5", right? There was
You're not confirmed.
there was some of that going on. Anyway, so how did that sophomore year in varsity go for you, Tim?
Well, for us, we started off as starters on the JV, and then as the season went on, it wasn't a good season. It just, we weren't gelling, and just there was a decision made by Coach Hastings about, maybe about halfway through that John and I are going to be moved up. Not only moved up, but we're going to be starting. So we sat down a couple of seniors that were playing that we got to start, and sometimes that leaves a bad taste in some players' mouths if they're not able to accept that or put the team before themselves. So it was hard for a little while, and it was more, I think, obviously just to give us experience. We're playing, we're playing seniors, from not only from our school in practice, but from around the schools, so that we're comfortable with what we have coming up. So I think we. I don't remember how we finished. I don't think we were even 500 that season, but it really, cemented for John and I, the ability to play and compete with these other schools.
Okay, so we move on to 84, 85, your junior year now.
That's kind of when Tom Pearson, Ron Stellmacher, Mike Cranmason, and myself really were the nucleus of our B squad team. Mm-hmm. And Tim and John were obviously on the varsity team with all of those seniors that were on the B team before. So we had a great B squad season. I don't think we lost more than 2 games.
Right.
And I think we had a pretty decent varsity season. So we had these were the kids that were, even the grade ahead of us. These are the kids that were meeting at the park.
Right.
So there'd be
Everett and everything.
basically we were having basketball practice all summer long.
Right.
Just
playing,
pickup
yeah.
games, and it
Right.
was really fun. So you got used to playing with all of the different people,
Right.
and so I think a lot of the guys were very interchangeable. We were all about the same height.
Right. Right.
We had a lot of 5'11" guards and,
Right.
and forwards and centers, and
Yeah, 6'1",
you just
6'2",
kind of got to
6'3",
know
6'4".
people's tendencies when you were playing out in the park,
Right.
which then
Right.
translated into games.
Right.
How did that regular season go in 84, 85 for you guys? I mean, because obviously you got to the tournament and you played us in the 3rd place game at the end of 85, but how did the regular season go for you guys?
Benfield and East probably had better teams than we did, but
Yeah.
we managed to beat them in the playoffs.
Well, I think we lost to both of them during the season. That's for sure. Because we had Everett as
Benfield had a really good team.
Yeah, well,
Kelly Raymond.
Yep, they had their two big guns when it came to what they had. A big,
Udovich.
yeah, really good center and a really good point guard too when it came to it too.
Yeah,
So,
Rodney.
yep. So we met them in the sectionals and were able to beat them. Not handily. I mean, it was a close game throughout the whole time. So. And we weren't projected to make state that year, not at all, not after our last season and how young we were going into that season. So
you guys played pretty well during the season, and what happened at the end of the season when you won the sections, you get to the state tournament, and there must have been something happening with you guys pulling together as far as what affected what happened in '86 the following year.
Right. Well, our first game that we played down there was, it was our first exposure to the basketball down here in the cities when we came to it, and playing the tournament in that first game was certainly something where you're not. It's just another level and something that you haven't played before. So and not being in a state tournament before and coming down underneath the lights and the crowds, and we had big crowds at some of our games obviously during sectionals, but just a different environment. Once again, it gets you prepared for what's next on your list, and I think that's where you learn how to deal with what you need to deal with going forward for your senior year.
Who was your first opponent in the state tournament?
I knew you were going to ask that. I don't
was
remember
it?
who we played. We played John Marshall in the semis.
Yeah, that's when Larry went off, so he was either North or Central.
We played North in the semis.
North, yeah, because
Yeah.
they played White Bear Lake.
Oh, so we must have played Rochester, John Marshall.
You
Darryl
guys did
Thompson.
play, yes. That's right. Tony Jurek, big guy.
Yeah, so we
that's
beat
right.
them, and then
Yep.
we played North
Yeah,
and lost to North.
lots of North, yeah, so.
So there's a lot of connections here with Duluth, because Jack was from Superior.
Yeah.
We still go up to Duluth and everything. Before you guys came down, were there any preconceived notions about the city kids?
We were very naive, I think, as
Yeah,
to what it was. I mean, we didn't know anything about any of the teams outside of Duluth
Right.
or our conference.
Well, we never
Region
got to see
7.
them.
Yeah, we never got to see them.
Yeah, so I mean,
It's not like they're on TV or anything, unless you were really a fanatic, a basketball fanatic. I think Tom Pearson was probably the only one who
Right.
might get the morning paper and look at stats.
Right.
The rest of us didn't really care. We were just like, what do we have to do? We got a game on Tuesday, or we got a game on Friday.
right,
We just went game to game to game. We didn't really know what was going on outside of our region at all. So we didn't have really any,
Right.
I didn't at least, have
Yeah,
any
me either.
preconceived notions of what kind of quality of basketball there was. We knew that there was, the kids were a lot more physical
Right.
and bigger than we were used to. Because we just didn't, there weren't big kids really in Duluth.
Right.
Even at East or Denfeld, there
Right.
were very few.
Yeah, not during that time, obviously earlier with the Dudaks and all
Yeah,
that. I
we
mean,
didn't- we didn't see
they had
any
7-footers.
7-footers.
Yeah, I know, that's what I'm
Or two of
saying.
them
Right,
for that.
exactly, so,
Yeah,
yeah, and I think, I think we would have came down here for the state tournament if we didn't make it into the state tournament that year, just because that's the kind of group we had. But then once you make it in there, now you're in the whole hubbub of participating in that. So you didn't get to go to see a lot of other games where, if we didn't make it, because I don't think we came down our sophomore year to the state tournaments. Maybe we watched them on TV, but so you're all in the whole state tournament realm our junior year. when we came down.
Environment.
I just
Yeah.
think we were really naive. Really.
Definitely.
We just were
you-
not sheltered, but
No, but I mean, it was, I mean, for us kids up there, I mean, it was a long way to come down here and play something like that, and
to
that
ride on a
just-
big bus if you
Yeah,
came
that's
down
right.
here.
It's very different
Coach
now.
bus.
Like if you guys were in high school now, you guys would be coming down
yeah.
here and scrimming.
Oh, yeah.
You'd be playing AAU, so you're traveling, you're
Right.
beating these kids and playing against them. Okay, so
Before
yeah,
he
go.
delves into the stats, I want to ask you, Coach Hastings, any trademarks from him you took from practice? Any on-court memories, off-court memories from him? Any little
We got lots of
idiosyncrasies?
memories that we won't talk about.
Yeah. Well, we'll probably, I mean, because of the tradition that Duluth Central had, when you suited for a varsity game, you were required to wear a tie. You were required to wear the red blazer that identified you as, in slacks, and really get dressed
There was
up
a
into the
uniform.
thing. Right.
I didn't realize
So,
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we that's what, a lot of us, when we got up to high school, we didn't know how to tie a tie. And so you really encompass that throughout all of his years. I mean, these blazers got passed down every year when it
were
came
old.
to it.
Oh,
they're
you guys
very
have
old.
to, so it was like the school issues.
yes.
Yeah, we had a locker.
Yes.
Wow, probably 20 red blazers.
Right.
that you
So-
had to wear. You had to get your own black pants and black tie and white shirt, but you were issued a red blazer.
Right, so, and that happened down to the state tournaments too. So when we went out to watch games, we were in our red blazers. A couple times we got asked where seats were, because they thought we were the red coats and helped people sit
It
down.
happened to me at the state tournament my
Yes.
senior year. I was walking around the concourse and somebody asked me where their seat was.
But
Sim security.
But he really tried to, Central was really the melting pot up in Duluth. I mean, kids, when it came to backgrounds, when it came to not only finance, not only family, not only religions, that we had everything there. So he really created a strict environment for us to grow up in. We had rules. We had to make sure that we followed haircuts. We had to make sure we followed, if we walked outside, we had to be wearing a hat. I mean, lots of things just to try to keep us on the straight and narrow and make sure that take out all the other outside influences.
Plus, that pulls you together in some ways, don't you?
Right.
Don't you think? Kind of
Yeah.
build some unity
Right.
by having rules like that.
Right. Yeah.
Go ahead, Tim.
Oh, no, I say, and sometimes when you look back now, sometimes you may think, okay, some of this was too far, some of this was not far enough, and but then the idea of what was brought forth is it was good certainly for me, for my background, what I needed to grow, so that was good.
All right, let's get to that third place game against Jefferson in '85. Do you have any memories from that game? I mean, let me say this about the Jefferson team. That's the most talented team I played on in high school. I mean, and Jack has said that's probably his most athletic team. I mean, we had a ton of really good athletes on that team, and that really could have been a state championship type of team. But anyways, we lost to White Bear Lake. But what are your memories from that third place game in '85
I
against
spent a
Jefferson?
lot of time sitting on the end of the bench as a spectator.
Well, with Central going down the road, I think they went down there 12 times underneath Coach Hastings for being part of the state tournament, winning 3 times and runner-up. I can't remember how many times that we were runner-up, but the one thing that he always tried to find, okay, if we're not going to exceed here, how are we going to exceed next? So I don't think up to that point that Central had ever lost
First round game.
yeah, a first round game
Still
when it came
intact,
to
I
it.
believe.
So you really had traditions that you were trying to fight against when it comes to it. We were certainly disappointed in that game when we were going down there, but once again for a lot of us juniors, it was more just to experience it, to get ready for our senior year. So whatever we could learn, whatever we could glean from playing you guys is what we're trying to take in, because having such a senior-led team, when you get up there knowing that all your starters are going to be seniors next year, that you really want to learn as much as you can, because we went into our senior year as the state championship is our goal. Nothing, no other talk besides that. I mean, there was never, okay, we're going to win, sectionals, or win this. Never a talk.
Right.
Our goal was winning the state championship, and nothing ever, came in front of that throughout the whole season.
That game, actually, Jim Hastings was going to retire after that game.
Yep.
The '85 game.
In
Yep.
85.
85.
Really? What happened?
We lost, so he decided he had a bad taste in his mouth, I think,
Right.
and
Yep.
he knew that we were coming up, and so he gave it one more shot. And I think that, I don't know if this is true, and I can't ask either of them because they're both gone now, but Tom Braden was one of our assistant coaches and had been Jim's assistant coach forever.
Yeah, for
And we
years.
loved Tom Braden. We
Yes.
wanted to play for Tom Braden.
Yeah.
And Tom Braden was going to be our coach as seniors, and then Coach Hastings decided he didn't want to give it up yet.
Yeah.
So
He's more the
Tom
players.
Braden walked right out the door, and
Yep.
that was the end of Tom Braden.
Right.
Oh, he did?
Really?
Yeah. It was an assistant last year?
No, not his last year.
He was the B team coach?
He was Jim's longtime varsity assistant coach.
Assistant coach, yeah. So he was a player's coach, whereas Jim was the hard-nosed person. He was the one that would come put his arm around you and see how you're doing and stuff like
He was
that.
the
and really-
defensive guy. He
Yep,
came up
that
with all
too,
the
yeah.
defensive schemes.
Yes.
So was it a thing where Jim Hastings announced that he's going to retire, and then he
I don't know if he
took it
ever
back?
announced it.
No, I
it
think
was
just talks.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
understood.
Yeah.
That he wanted to give Tom Braden a chance to be the head coach.
Right.
And then I think he changed his mind at the end.
Right.
He saw what was coming back, he's like,
I mean, he had seen it for 3 years.
Right.
He knew what was coming,
Yeah.
but he just wasn't ready to walk away, I guess.
Right.
And I think that fourth place, or that third place game probably had a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
Had we won that game, he might have retired.
really?
Yeah.
Interesting.